with Vivek Sanil and Muriel Desar. Talk 100.3.
Every Monday, Talk Biz Advantage होता है brought to you by Tally Solutions and we have interesting guest every Monday. आज हमारे साथ है CA Nirav Shah.
Yes, and today we will be discussing about, corporate tax. Now, are you ready for the shift? UAE Corporate Tax is, underway already. But we'll be talking a little bit about that. Now, before we get into that, let's quickly tell you about what the weather scene is. It is 20 degrees Celsius, humidity at 55%, and winds blowing at 24 kilometers an hour. A very good morning to you.
I think, weather चाहे जो भी हो, पसीने आ ही जाते हैं जब हम टैक्स के बारे में बात करते हैं. लेकिन ये पसीने जो है ना, ये बहुत ही सिंप्लीफाई करेंगे कि ये पसीना नहीं आए आपको. इसीलिए सीए नीरव शाह हमारे साथ है, फाउंडर मैनेजिंग डायरेक्टर फेम एडवाइजरी DMCC एंड ऑल्सो नाउ एन ऑथर.
That's amazing. So Nirav is qualified as a chartered accountant from Gujarat, India. Now, being an excellent in academics, he has secured 6th rank in interc and 36th rank in CA finals. He then moved to Mumbai and has specialized in international tax and finance and is advising on various cross-border transactions from international and domestic tax and regulatory perspective. His skills help companies to set up right corporate holding structure for the group, evaluation of new business investment opportunities, strategic inputs, reviews for businesses and managing compliance issues.
Good morning नीरव जी, वेलकम टू टॉक 100.3. आप पांचवी या छठवीं बार आ रहे हैं, कैसा लग रहा है आपको?
Excellent, as usual. So good morning, first of all.
Good morning.
And thank you for having me again and again.
No, it is our pleasure because the simplicity and of course जो simplify करते हैं complex issues as well, वो बहुत ही amazing है आपका जिस तरह आप समझाते हैं. Now we would love to congratulate you on your entrepreneurial journey in terms of कि
Being an
author बन
author.
गए आप. Yeah.
Thank you for that. But yes, it was tough last few months
Okay.
because Taxmann as a publisher is a very big name in India. They publish almost all the textbooks and journals in India for many years. They were venturing out first time to UAE.
Okay.
And they approached us to compile this book on UAE Corporate Tax, which is called Law and Practice Relating to UAE Corporate Tax.
Oh, I thought it is going to be life and mysteries of CA Nirav Shah.
No, not at all.
That would be so interesting
That
to know.
may be some other day. Now that I have started this journey, maybe.
So it is tax and law practice.
It's law and practice relating to the UAE corporate tax.
Okay.
So what we have tried doing there is we put together, we have multitude of law, then cabinet decision, ministry decision, FTA decision, guides and whatnot that comes out. You don't know what to refer to where.
Correct.
So we have compiled chapter-wise summary for the law, for the cabinet decision relating to that chapter, and then we have given examples to make people understand it very simply.
So this is like a digest basically for the law.
You can call it a digest, you can
Read
call
and
it a
Martin?
ready reference,
ready reference.
you can call it a go-to resource for
But
all the
उसपे
text
जो
thing.
amendments होते हैं, changes होते हैं, वो कैसे फिर?
So currently we have started with the hard copy version. Maybe eventually we'll make some more effort to get onto the digital mode.
Right.
Have a subscription based service
Right.
where we can keep updating people from time to time.
Right.
But of course all that takes a lot of time and effort.
So is it
And-
for a layperson as well? I mean, for somebody who's trying to understand it for the very first time, just come to the UAE, move to the UAE. Will this book be sufficient and suffice the details of corporate tax for them?
Everything, and in fact what we are doing exactly is that we are simplifying the provisions for a layman, for a new student, for an entrepreneur, for a
Okay.
businessman, or for just an accountant to understand what to apply where.
Alika हमें message already आ गया है. CA Nirav Shah, where can we get this book?
Just go on to our website. There's already a link, www.fame.ae, and you can order online through that link,
Okay.
and the book will be delivered to you in very short time.
Okay.
This is amazing.
So book launch हो गया है, is it?
Book launch हो गया है.
Oh, beautiful यार. मैं देख रहा था Samsung का launch भी हो रहा है तो.
नहीं उससे compare नहीं है.
Okay, now if I have to ask you this question, has UAE been ready for the corporate tax shift? I mean, are we ready for it? Have we understood it already?
Not at all.
Sorry?
इसीलिए तो CA नीरव शाह हमारे स्टूडियो में समझाने के लिए.
Not at all.
Look, for any new thing, it takes time for people to first embrace, then accept, and then understand and apply. So we are still in the phase of that, oh, finally it is here, now I have to do something about it.
Correct.
Right? So we are in that phase. Now, of course, we'll go into, okay, fine, let me do something about it and let me start working on it. And then, okay, fine, now it's way of life.
So we are still not ready for that shift of UAE corporate tax.
There are different people at different level.
Juncture, yeah.
So there are multinationals who are already ready. They have made themselves ready. There are large businesses who had to take steps early. Right? And then, of course, there are small and medium segment which will now start waking up and slowly put the things together.
Correct.
And act together to go forward with it.
Now, what points would you rather say should be considered before finalizing books of accounts for the year 2023?
So first of all, we need something like Tally readily available to you to make sure that your books are in order. Review all your old balances, related party balances, all your old provisions. The issue with the UAE has been that nobody has been very disciplined about the accounting policies.
Okay.
Right.
So now we need to be
But
very
MNCs
clear.
have been, right?
MNCs have been, large businesses have been, but generally SME segment, mid-market did not bother so much about being absolutely accurate and disciplined.
Right.
Now we
because
need to
ये
be
compliance
disciplined.
factor हो गया है ना
That's
अभी ये?
right.
Yeah.
So you need to review your accounting policy, what you are doing right, what you are not doing right. So all of that, and create new ledgers to track all your disallowances, taxes, and all of that. So that's what one need to start doing.
Right.
This
तो
is interesting.
we will continue the discussion. अगर आपके पास कोई भी सवाल है, CA Nirav Shah is in our studios about corporate tax. Do let us know. 800-81003 पे आप फोन कर सकते हैं. Any question या WhatsApp 05-8686-1003.
Talk 100.3.
एवरी मंडे ये आता है, ये एक अवेयरनेस सेशन होता है जहाँ पे आपको कॉर्पोरेट टैक्स के बारे में या फिर बिजनेसेस के बारे में और बताते हैं. सो वी टॉकिंग अबाउट, आर यू रेडी फॉर दैट शिफ्ट towards corporate tax?
And we are in conversation with Nirav Shah, founder and managing director, Fame Advisory, DMCC. Now, I think, sir, during our conversations, you did mention creating new accounting ledgers to track disallowance, entertainment, penalties, etc. Could you stress a little bit more on this line? Because I didn't quite get it.
So under the corporate tax, there are very few disallowances. One, of course, is in relation to the entertainment expense. So one needs to start booking it more clearly.
Okay.
I mean, earlier you used to put everything into entertainment.
Right. And
It
it was
should be-
calculated as full, right?
That's
Abhi
right.
50%.
Now they are saying only 50% will be eligible as deductible. So you have to be very clear what you book in that expense head. Similarly, if interest is exceeding certain limit, it is going to be disallowed. Fines and penalties, if you are incurring, that's going to be disallowed. So we would suggest that you have a separate accounting ledgers created in your chart of account, along with 2 more account of current tax and deferred tax, so that you track all your disallowances in your tax expense very clearly.
Right.
But whenever you input that data at the portal, क्या वो automatically check नहीं करता? Or is
नहीं.
it something that आपको voluntarily?
So the entire onus is on the taxpayer
Nice.
to correctly record and report.
Now, if you don't identify your provisions at the end of the year, then there's something called as reverse excess. You will be paying taxes on it in 2024?
That's correct. So what you do is that if you have all your old provisions, if you did not make adjustment for it before December 23, and now you realize that now these provisions are no longer required in 24, and you reverse it,
Correct.
and that becomes taxable.
Correct.
Now when you created those provisions, you never got any tax benefit. But when you reversed it, now you have to pay tax on it.
Right.
Seem to be, that's why year-end closing is very, very important this year.
Right. And what critical aspects are to be considered from transfer pricing perspective now for smooth rollover of the UAE corporate tax within businesses for the year 2023?
See, it's a very important compliance as transfer pricing, and it's coming up for the first time. So you need to be clear what your related parties are, what your connected persons are. You need to then identify the transactions with them. Then you have to have your transfer pricing policies clearly define. If it is related party, what price I am going to charge it at.
Correct.
I have to have intercompany agreements for everything that I do.
Okay.
Right? Then I need to benchmark all those transactions, get an international comparable that this is the price range which is acceptable to be carried out at when you do transaction between related parties.
Okay.
So And all the payment to your connected person needs a careful consideration, because otherwise they'll get disallowed.
Okay.
There should not be. So all your key management personnel, you're paying salaries, you're paying bonuses. So you have to make sure that those are at market rates. You cannot pay more than that.
Okay.
If you start paying more, they'll disallow everything.
Right.
Correct.
You know, recently एक बहुत interesting news आया था. One of the businessmen in UAE जो है ना, he had a very interesting concept of distributing his profits to the employees. And there was around 5 million dirhams which he had collected over a year. And people who had already left the company as well, even they were being paid out. So all that as an expense, will it have any tax benefits for the company who's giving these?
Yes, very much. So if you put that as part of your HR compensation strategy,
Wow.
and you say that, okay, bonuses is, as we call it, or incentives will be distributed in XYZ manner
Okay.
after determining it. So for an employee, whatever you pay in will
Zero
always
tax.
be deductible, not zero tax.
हाँ, नहीं,
And
as a
in
for
the
a
hands
business,
of
yeah.
employees, it will be
Zero.
salary.
Ah.
So there is no problem on that. It's manner how you do it, but all that you need now is earlier you're doing it at your whims and fancies. That okay, I want to do it this year, I'll do this.
Correct.
Now you have to put it down as a part of your compensation policy.
Wow.
Right. But now he just said that employees that are part of the organization and the ones that have just left. So when you make payments to them that are not part of your organization, how does that reflect into your ledger?
So that's exactly the point. That if you already put it down as a policy that you'll be entitled to this even if you leave in, say, last few
Okay,
months,
okay.
then you can still pay that out as a bonus or compensation,
Nice.
right? But if you don't put it down, then they are no longer an employee. Why should they be even eligible
Correct.
to claim it?
Correct.
In most cases, when employees leave, they are not eligible for bonuses. They only get
They're not
their end
eligible
of
for
service.
salaries also.
Salaries they will
no,
get
no,
as
they're not
part of labor law and end of service benefits also. So I'm not trying to suggest that you violate the law.
Barabar, yeah.
No,
But
when you're
as a
talking-
company, this
yeah.
is a great step you can take, yeah?
Of course.
So when you're talking about transfer pricing now, sir, have we understood the concept? You said because there has to be international standards as to where you are marking in the kind of price that you're paying in to whoever your related parties. So where are these international standards available for all of us to kind of go and have a look at those brackets?
So one is that it's not fully understood.
Okay.
All that we need to do and to understand it very, very simply in a layman's term is that if I am dealing with my related party,
Okay.
my dealing has to be at the price at which I would have dealt with with third party as well.
Okay.
I mean, to simplify it in the most understandable manner. Now, how do you say that it was at an arm's length or it was at a price that I would have dealt with a third party also? So that's where you need publicly available data for similar transaction. So if you're paying commission on a trade,
Correct.
what should commission be at? Should it be 5%? Or should it be 7 or should it be 10?
Okay.
Now for a similar trade, based on a publicly available data, you say that okay, it is in the range of 5 to 7%.
Okay.
So then you can do transaction within that range, and that's at arm's length. So that data you have to compile as part of your benchmarking exercise. That this is the transaction. These are my international comparables or publicly available data, not necessarily international, could be local also.
Right.
Whatever is publicly available data, financial data, and based on them, this is the range that is acceptable to be done transaction at. And my transactions are within that range.
Correct. And what documents must I suffice to prove? Because obviously right now, I think a lot of companies do stand at the other side thinking, where is the data available? Because a lot of companies don't know how to compare their benchmarks that they've set.
That's
so
right.
how do they move forward now that we are in this era of corporate tax?
So, very interesting question.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Mind blowing. कहाँ से ढूंढ के लाया?
So, the point is that's why the three things. That one, you have to first identify those transactions. Second, you have to document it. Third, you have to create your intergroup policies around those transactions. And fourth is that when you go and look out for this comparable, generally we look at publicly filed listed company data.
Okay.
Now, UAE or Middle East as a whole has limited amount of companies which are listed.
Correct.
So the data availability becomes a little challenge. There are databases which take out this data from various of these listed companies. One is to subscribe to that database, then start putting in this kind of specific transaction for which they'll then bring you companies who are into that kind of trade, businesses or services, and that becomes then your comparable data.
Oh, nice.
तब आप benchmark कर सकते हैं.
Yes.
So now what changes are to be adopted or points to be considered going forward in order to, be compliant from corporate tax perspective?
A lot of things, but first and foremost is any accounting software.
Tally.
Tally, of
Let
course.
me guess. Tally.
Tally, of course. So Tally or similar other accounting software that you are using, be it Zoho or Pact or SAP or whatever that you are using,
Right.
So I'm not saying which one, but of course most popular being Tally, it comes as a first point of reference to us. Any proper accounting software which helps you maintain your books with very much of discipline, maintaining proper documentation is going to be the biggest challenge going forward. So far, for a lot of expenses, we never bothered to keep invoices.
Right.
We paid through credit card. I have a credit card statement, and that's fine.
That's not enough.
That's not enough. You
You
need
need
to
a
have those
proper
invoices
जैसे टैक्सी का बिल बोलते हैं, बिल चाहिए क्या? हम
Wherever.
ना बोलते हैं. Yeah.
wherever required possible. We need to put those documentation in place. We need to have proper documentary evidence for all the deductible expenses. So that's why you need invoices, right? And therefore, we have to align our chart of account with these expenses, create that total discipline around how you book, how you pay, and how you record.
Right. And have we understood that? Have companies actually started doing that, or are we still kind of aloof from the concept?
No. A lot of companies have already been
Adopting
it. They are already putting in place systems to tackle them. They are already getting ready. They are training their staff. So all of that is going on as we speak.
Which is amazing. We will continue our conversation with Nirav Shah or more on corporate tax. And the question is, are we ready for the corporate tax world? We'll get started with that conversation.
Talk 100.3.
9:23 on the clock. A very good morning to you. Yes, this hour is known as Biz Advantage, brought to you by Tally Solutions. And the topic of discussion is ready for the shift. UAE Corporate Tax is underway. CA Nirav Shah, we are in conversation with him. He's the founder and managing director of Fame Advisory, DMCC. And now we went on to ask you what are the implications of outstanding intercompany balances carried forward to the first year of corporate tax and not settled within a short period.
So that's why we are saying that this year close is going to be very, very important.
Okay.
If you don't settle these balances in a short period of time, and if they are again ended from a related parties, then there will be requirement to even charge some amount of compensation or interest on all this. Now people have been having a lot of old balances which they've been carrying forward for past many years, just not to impact their balance sheet from borrowing purpose perspective and others. All this needs to be revisited, and this is where it starts becoming sort of challenging. That if you don't clean it up, one, you will have tax consequences. Second, you will have transfer pricing consequences. How do you justify? How do you document?
Correct.
All this together are going to pose a challenge.
So my financial data for 2023 to 2024 will matter to the government and not the years before that. So how do I backtrack? Now, for the ones who don't understand corporate tax from the very word go, how would you tell them, or where would you tell them to start?
So I'm not saying that you go back 3-4 years. I'm saying just look at your balances at the end of the year of 23. Revisit them and check whether all of them are actually realizable. Are they just standing in the books just for the sake of it, or are they actually realizable?
Could you give an
If
example?
it is realizable, so like I had sold some goods to my related party 2 years back. The money has not come.
Okay.
Now, do I think that the money is going to come in this year or in this few months, or is it not going to come? If not, I'd rather write it off before the year ends,
Okay.
rather than carrying forward. If I'm carrying forward, I need to be very sure, okay, if I am owed $1 million, for example, I'm going to get that $1 million.
Right.
If not, I have to justify because it's my related party. Why did I carry forward a balance which was not realizable? Why did I claim a expense that was not supposed to be claimed in next year if that was not to be true?
Correct.
So then it might also be disallowed because it's a related party balance which you are not taken care of. So all of this have tax implications, so you need to be careful.
Right. And is there certain sort of rules when you're talking about immovable properties for the year?
So there's something known as transitional provision. So if you had a lot of immovable properties on your books, you have been given two options under the transition provisions. That if you want to say your immovable property have been bought very, very old, or say over 10 years back,
Correct.
in your books they have been depreciated. So it's hardly at some value, but its market value definitely is much higher.
Okay.
So if you were to sell it tomorrow or in a year when the taxes are there, you would record a lot of capital gain. To give you a protection, there are two options available.
Okay.
One is that you value them as of 31st of December. Take that valuation as a notional realization, and therefore your cost and that valuation, whatever the difference is, that capital gain will not be taxed going forward.
Oh, nice.
That's one option. Second is you don't revalue it today. As in when you sell in that year,
Okay.
you record the gain. However, they'll do a proportionate exemption that whatever are the number of years and number of days that you held it before corporate tax and the proportion of number of days that you held it after the corporate tax is introduced, only the proportion which falls after corporate tax is what is taxable.
Okay.
The earlier one will be given to you as again an exemption from your computation itself. So these are two options as far as immovable property is concerned when they are shown as a fixed asset. It's not for somebody who trades in and who are developer and who holds it as an investment or inventory on the books.
There's nothing on income tax, so then therefore investment is completely ruled off, right?
So investments generally you have to anyway follow your inventory valuation rules of cost to market value, whichever is higher. If it is financial investments, you have to value it at mark to market on those day on balance sheet date anyway, which is required as per accounting standards. So it's not something new that is being prescribed. You just follow that and then you will get the benefits accordingly.
Any industries that have been spared off it?
No.
All industries fall under its purview.
Nice.
Now, in understanding deferred tax asset and deferred tax liability, firstly, if you could help us understand that, and how does this play a role where corporate tax is concerned?
Okay, so these are typical concept when it comes to taxation. Okay, why do you call it a deferred tax asset or liability? Because there are certain item in your books which are going to have impact on your tax liability in future.
Okay.
That's why it's called deferred tax asset or a liability. So for example, if some businesses are incurring losses, so in the current year, that 24, when the corporate tax is kicked off, you incurred a loss of 1 million or 2 million. You will get 9% of that as a benefit as in when you incur a profit going forward, because losses are allowed to be carried forward.
But again, certain percentage, right?
So you will create a deferred tax asset, because in a year to come, I am going to recover this 9% of this 2 million
Correct.
of 120,000 or whatever
Okay.
as benefit.
Right.
So I'll create an asset as in when I get that benefit, I reverse that asset. Similarly, if I have provisions which I am not going to use, say it's excess, okay, in the future they'll be reversed or returned back. Then I need to create a deferred tax liability that when I write back those provisions, I'll be paying tax on them.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's called deferred tax asset and a liability. You need to create this depending on when you analyze your balance sheet, you see what will have future tax impact,
Okay.
and based on that future tax impact, if you feel that it will have something, then you create this asset and liability in your books.
Okay.
Again, its technical term is generally done by the auditors,
Right.
so you don't have to bother about it so much. Don't worry, auditors will take care of it.
Right.
But just for one to understand why this and what is the purpose of this.
Super.
Interesting. You know, we will continue our conversation with CA Nirav Shah, founder and managing director of Fame Advisory DMCC, on if the UAE is ready for the shift where corporate tax is concerned, but after the sports update.
अगर आपके पास कोई भी सवाल है, do let us know 0586861003 or give us a call 808-1003.
Talk 100.3.
Talk Biz Advantage चल रहा है on Talk 100.3 brought to you by Tally Solutions, and if you want to know more about this, tallysolutions.com पे जरूर log on कीजिए. 800 Tally पे भी आप फोन कर सकते हैं 800-828-559. Now, small businesses and startups can now upgrade to Tally Prime 4.0, a complete business management solution which now also offers intuitive dashboards, WhatsApp for business and Excel import functions. फिलहाल तो हमारी बातें हो रही है सीए नीरव शाह से, क्या यूएई रेडी है फॉर द कॉर्पोरेट टैक्स शिफ्ट? काफ़ी क्वेश्चंस के आंसर्स आपने इंटरेस्टिंग तरीके से दिए हैं. नाउ सम मोर क्वेश्चंस, जैसे यूएई सिटी लॉ जो है ना प्रोवाइड करता है ट्रांजिशनल रूल्स फॉर एडजस्टमेंट्स रिक्वायर्ड व्हेन डिटरमाइनिंग अ टैक्सेबल गेन अपॉन डिस्पोजल ऑफ सर्टेन एसेट्स एंड लायबिलिटीज, जिसका डिस्कशन हमने कर लिया है. आगे बढ़ते हैं. ऑन विच आइटम्स ऑफ फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट डेफर्ड टैक्स एसेट और डेफर्ड टैक्स लायबिलिटी डीटीएल ये अप्लाई होता है?
All right. So we just discussed about the concept of what is deferred tax asset and deferred tax liabilities before we had a break.
Right.
So basically it is for tax losses, for interest deductions, for any provisions which are not available this year, which you are going to claim it back or reverse it back next year. So any item which you are carrying forward in your balance sheet, which will have impact in your next year's P&L, is where you need to create a deferred tax asset or liability.
Okay.
So it's not that it's for everything and anything. Most of it where you get deduction currently, there's no impact going forward, you don't need to do anything. It's only in cases where we have impact for the next year. Now generally in other countries, UAE is very simple law, but other countries like depreciation rules and tax rate of depreciation is different than your books of accounts rate of depreciation. Then you have differences on that. So all of that you need to create as part of this deferred tax asset and liability adjustment. Which for us, fortunately, in UAE tax law there are only 2 or 3 items which will have such an impact. So it's not so detailed or not so daunting as I would call it.
Nice.
But it's still there.
Okay.
Correct. Now, in terms of recent development where the FTA is concerned, have they made any new changes, provisions with the Imara tax portal, or for anybody who has to understand this concept?
Because new tax law is coming, the new compliances are coming.
Okay.
Therefore, even tax department is trying to get ready with that.
But September तक time है ना to register?
To register and to file. Provided your accounting year started now in January.
Okay.
For some people, it started as much back in June 23.
Correct.
So for them, it's not. I mean, their year end will be June of 24.
Okay.
So they'll have to file by March of 25.
Okay.
So you have time. Yes, there's no problem. But what FTA is trying to do is trying to integrate all its system through one portal, which is MRA tax portal.
Okay.
Now they are also going to link it up with UAE Pass.
Oh, nice.
Okay, so forget that's not happened yet.
Okay.
But that's
But
fine.
होगा आगे.
Hoga. But so what you need to do is when you log in, if you already have a VAT login, use the same login.
Okay.
You log in, then they have now introduced a dashboard. So it shows you all your information at one shot.
Nice.
Okay.
Then you go into the tabs for VAT or corporate tax or whatever
Correct.
is required. So then accordingly you start following it up. But they have made it all integrated.
Okay.
So you have to make sure that your VAT data which is there in the system is updated.
Okay.
Because that data will be directly taken up for corporate tax registration also.
Okay.
So if there's some mistake, if license is expired there, they'll not allow you to register unless you update that data itself.
Okay.
So your VAT, custom and corporate tax data are all going to be
Linked.
So they have made all this updates in the portal, in the way the portal looks, in the dashboard, so that it gives complete information. All of that is happening. And you have to, therefore, if your data is anywhere not updated, go on your VAT portal, click on a tab for amend the tax person details.
Okay.
First update those data.
Okay.
Once that is updated and reflected in the system, then only you can go in for your corporate tax registration and other things.
But it's instant, right?
No.
It's not instant.
So they'll approve it once you have uploaded.
Okay.
Then only, because they also need to verify that you are not uploading junk.
Correct, yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
And how
आप
long
bot
does
नहीं
this
हो,
process
आप
take?
human ही हो, ये भी important है वो tick करना, right?
Talk 100.3.
9:44 on the clock. A very, very good morning to you. Right now, we do have Iftikhar, and he has a ton of questions to ask you, sir. Good morning, Iftikhar.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. सीए नीरव शाह सुन रहे हैं आप, अपना सवाल पूछ सकते हैं उनसे।
अच्छा, मैं इससे ये पूछना चाहूँगा, कपल ऑफ क्वेश्चंस हैं। एक तो ये कि कॉर्पोरेट टैक्स जो है, अभी एक कंपनी ऐसी है कि उसकी जो एक्टिविटी है लाइसेंस के अंदर, उस पर कोई बैंक अकाउंट ही ओपन नहीं कर रहा, तो उसके लिए कैसे कॉर्पोरेट टैक्स में रजिस्ट्रेशन और ये मेंटेन करेंगे उसको?
बैंक अकाउंट नहीं ओपन हो रहा है, दैट्स अ प्रैक्टिकल चैलेंज दैट यू हैव. And how will you then conduct business if you don't have a bank account? But you still need to maintain proper books of accounts. You still need to register, and if you are not able to do business, you still need to file a zero tax return. So there is no excuse of not having a bank account to not register and file.
Okay,
तो ये एक्सक्यूज नहीं चलेगा, आपको करना ही पड़ेगा रजिस्टर, राइट?
Okay, and the second point is the company is a free zone company. So what about the free zone companies? Like they also come under the corporate tax, or?
The companies which are registered in UAE, whether free zone, offshore, mainland, everybody comes under the corporate tax, and everybody needs to register and file the return. You may get some free zone benefit depending on if you fulfill certain condition. Not all free zone company will get that benefit. So everybody needs to register and file.
Okay, and what about the grace period for a company? Like if one company is registered in the UAE itself, so how much is the time like they should be registered for the corporate tax and or VAT also?
No, there is no grace period. In fact, once you are registered, if you are already within the tax period, you have to file for corporate tax anyway. So in VAT, there is a threshold of revenue. Only you reach that, you register for VAT. In corporate tax, there is no threshold. So you have to register as soon as you have now registered a company and your tax year has started.
Okay, so as soon as we get registration and license, we need immediately to register for the corporate tax.
Have time up to the time of filing your return, but you need to register.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you.
सारे सवाल पूछ लिए इफ्तिकार आपने?
सारे सवालों के जवाब अच्छे मिल गए मुझे तो।
हाँ, वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, इट वाज वैल्यूएबल।
हाँ, क्योंकि ये रियल में एक चैलेंज है कंपनीज के लिए यहाँ पे, क्योंकि काफी लोग ऐसे भी हैं जो बहुत ज्यादा पढ़े लिखे नहीं है, लेकिन वो कंपनी ओनर्स हैं, और एक कल्चर नहीं है ना यहाँ पे टैक्स का।
बहुत सही कहा।
करेक्ट।
हाँ, उनके लिए ये इन्फॉर्मेशन मतलब पास ऑन करना, लेटर ऑन वो पेनल्टीज की तरफ ना जाएं और अपने आप को कैसे सेफ एंड सिक्योर कर सकते हैं। फिर बहुत सारे लोगों को ये आइडिया नहीं है कि कोई ग्रेस पीरियड है, नई कंपनी आप रजिस्टर कराते हैं, जैसे आज आपको लाइसेंस मिलता है 28 ऑफ जनवरी, सो अब कितना टाइम आपके पास है, यू मस्ट नीड टू रजिस्टर फॉर कॉर्पोरेट टैक्स। तो इसके लिए मैंने कहा चले अच्छा है मैं थोड़ा इनसे इन्फॉर्मेशन ले लूँ, बिकॉज दिस गाय इज रियली एक्सपर्ट।
Absolutely,
Well, thank you,
See,
thank
Nirav
you
Shah,
for
we
that.
also think the
Yeah.
same, that he's a expert, a real expert.
Thank you,
Thank
Iftikhar.
you.
So much.
But all the best. Do the compliance properly.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you,
Have a-
thank you.
You know, sir, he did mention about not being in a position to open a bank account, and I'm sure you would also have people or clients or businesses who fall under this category. Now, in a given situation like that, are you not allowed to conduct a business activity in the country? And how do you run it? On what account do you then run it?
So look, having a bank account is one of the most necessary operating requirement, but it's not a legal requirement. Now, if
Okay.
you end up doing business and you wait for your bank account to come up and then you settle your balances, that's fine. You can still do the trade. You can still render a service. Your money will come in only when your bank account is there. Or if it is smaller amount, 10, 15, 20,000, which is within the anti-money laundering consideration, then you can take it in cash as well.
Okay.
But has to be under that compliance mechanism. So you can do that. It's not that it's prohibited. It's
But
an
you
operating
do need
requirement.
it. You do need it
Of
in the
course.
country.
How
Yeah.
will you do the business otherwise? Everybody today pays you by online, bank transfer or
Correct.
checks or whatever. Nobody pays you
GPay,
cash.
Paytm.
That's in India.
Yeah. But it's so prevalent, है ना? वहाँ पे इतना,
In
I mean,
India, that has
everyone,
gone to a different
they
level.
don't accept cash these
No,
days.
no.
They say, sir, GPay कर दो.
हाँ.
But I had
Paytm
this
कर
doubt
दो.
as well as an NRI. आपका जो बैंक अकाउंट वहाँ पे है, वो number is registered here. यहाँ का number is registered, and then वहाँ पे you need वहाँ का local number to register with the bank. तब जाके So that challenge.
So those challenges are now getting addressed. A lot of
Okay.
banks are adding the foreign numbers also for that
Nice.
GPay, OTP, and whatever.
So it's
So it's
being
getting
solved.
there.
Yeah.
It's more a technical issue, not a operational issue.
Nice.
So they are, or some people keep their Indian account or Indian phone operative
Correct.
when they want to do the transaction.
Correct.
Then they switch it off when it's not required.
Nice.
Right.
So
So
all
I
that
have
kind
one
of-
question for you now. In terms of you mentioned how important is it to have a bank account. Now, in terms of digital currency, digital pay, how do you keep a tab on that where corporate tax is concerned?
No, but at the end of the day, your digital payments are reflected through your bank in some way or the other. Either you paid to your wallet and it's recorded,
Okay.
or you directly are debiting your bank account
Right.
and it's recorded.
Right.
So in both ways, it is recorded through your bank.
So you can't
statement.
lose the
You can't lose track
transaction
of it.
detail.
No, you will have to have that. You'll have to account for that properly. You'll have to have a discipline in keeping that account and keeping the underlying documents for that, and then claim expenses.
Super. We'll continue the conversation. अगर आपके पास सवाल है, we've got another 10 minutes. You can give us a call 800-81003.
Talk 100.3.
We are in conversation with Nirav Shah, founder and managing director, Frame Advisory DMCC, and we're talking to him about all things corporate tax. In fact, he's been so kind in helping us understand about corporate tax. Now we'd like to know a little bit more about this in terms of procedure, right? So what is the procedure for corporate tax registration on the Imara portal, tax portal? Should we be selecting a couple of things? Should we be made wary of the few selections?
So I'll just walk you through that. Of course, when you'll go online, you'll be able to kind of get more understanding in that. But it's pretty user friendly. It's not nothing to kind of get worried about.
Okay.
So one is first step that if you're already a VAT payer, you will have an MRA tax account. So if you already have an MRA tax account, you'll just log in with those, sign up with those login detail.
Okay.
If you don't have one, there is a sign up button on the portal. So you can then sign up and create your account for the first time.
Okay.
Or if you had an account and you forgot your password, then you can use forgot password and get your retrieve a password, reset your password.
All right.
Once you've done that, then your taxable persons list screen will come up. So under your login, how many accounts are registered, how many taxable person are registered will be shown. So like some people have in the VAT, there's a group. So there are 4 or 5 companies within that. So all of that will get displayed.
Okay.
So once you click on that one of that person and you click on views, it will show you all the detail about that taxable person.
Correct.
So this is where we said that your VAT details needs to be updated. If they are not, they will not show up here. So if you have not done that, you first amend your tax detail, keep it updated. Then you in this view all that will get populated. Then you, if you want to register for say corporate tax, there is a register tile on corporate tax. You click on that and it will take you to the next level, and they'll ask you, so that will become the starting point for your corporate tax registration process.
All right.
Then it will ask you questions, and they take you to 5 short sections. Entity details, what are the entity type, date of incorporation, your corporate tax period, you need to specify that. Identification details, so trade license, business activity, shareholder detail. If you have branches, then those branch licenses you have to show. Then contact detail, address, contact number, email, all that you need to put in. Who is the authorized signatory? And how did he get a power? Is he named as such in your memorandum of article, or is he a legal type? Then Emirates ID. Then if he's an individual, then it's Emirates ID of a manager or whatever that you need to define.
Okay.
So you put all that in, then review and declare that whatever you are submitting is all correct. Then you kind of submit your detail. Each section detail has to be entered. So all this 5 section what we spoke about, you have to enter detail in each of that. Some of them are auto populated, like your trade license. If it is already there, it will come directly from there.
Okay.
If your authorized signatory, you already named somebody in VAT, it will auto populate.
Okay.
So some of those things will come. Some which will not be specified there and has been asked specifically for corporate tax, you will have to enter.
And
Okay.
if any of your documents have been expired, then you have to go
Then
back
you have to
and
first
refill?
go back, change and update the document in your VAT section and then come to this segment. Otherwise, it will not accept your application.
Acha, okay.
You know, so it's very, very important that you have updated document, updated detail in your VAT registration itself. And if you're not doing it for the first time, then don't bother. Then you just need to keep submitting it, you know. After completing all the mandatory field, you have to review the application. You have to confirm that, yeah, it is correct. And then you submit to them. Then they will approve or reject or ask for more detail based on what you have filled in.
Correct.
So a lot of time they ask you to fill in an Arabic equivalent of your name.
Oh, okay.
So that if the translation is not correct, it will come back to you. If some of the details are not matching, it will come back to you. So you have to keep going back and forth few times if your details are not correct.
तो आप प्रिपेयर कर रहे हैं लोगों को कि थोड़ा इत्मीनान से अपना समय जो है
समय लगेगा समय लगेगा but इतना difficult नहीं है.
And it's free, right? You don't have to pay for
No,
this
nothing.
registration.
It's a free registration, and they generally finish it off within 6 to 7 days maximum. You know. Sometime, I mean, earlier they used to take a period of 10 to 15 days. Now it has kind of started shortening it up.
Yeah.
Hopefully, it will go down to 2 or 3 days once they kind of start automating the lot of processes.
Do we have any data अब तक कितने register हुए हैं?
अभी तक they have not disclosed anything as yet, but we are seeing every day people are getting registered.
Yeah.
People are getting unique numbers. So all of that is happening on a daily basis.
And the last question, the documents that are required, I think we did touch on that. Trade license.
We did, but I'll just kind of run you through 4-5 important documents. Trade or business license that you have. Passport and Emirates ID of the owner who directly owns at least 25% of the more of the company. Okay. Passport and Emirates ID of the authorized signatory. So one who is named as authorized signatory, you have to submit separately. And proof of authorization of that authorized signatory. Either he is named through a power of attorney, then that power of attorney needs to be submitted. Or if he is named as a manager in memorandum of association, then that memorandum of association needs to be submitted. So all these are minimum document which you need to have to do your corporate tax registration.
And minimum आपका taxable profit भी 3,75,000 होना?
नहीं. So registration के लिए there is no minimum.
Everybody has to register.
Corporate tax भरने के लिए उसके ऊपर जाना चाहिए.
375 के ऊपर profit आपकी जानी चाहिए.
हाँ.
Okay, thank you so very much, CA Nirav Shah, for taking time out, coming to our studios, and so calmly and so composed, you know, you sat down here talking us and taking us through corporate tax. Thank you once again.
But that's what we need to do, right? Keep calm so that everybody else is not worried.
Huh?
Absolutely.
If we are worried, then everybody else will also get more worried, right?
True that.
But if you want,
were you worried when corporate tax came in?
No, I'm very happy.
Good amount for you. but there was just a bit of a concern as to how the UAE would take it.
No. UAE has been doing it systematically over a period. Of course, they'll never be ready first day, but they'll improve over a period. And that's where we thought of compiling this book together so that it helps everybody to kind of do correct compliances. We hope that it will help everybody on their learning journey also. So all of that put together was absolutely...
So the book is launched. Congratulations on that. fame.ae, that's the website जहाँ पे एक reference material आपको मिलता है जो भी provisions law है और उसको explain कर रहे हैं आप.
So fame.ae is our website. You will have a lot of our seminar, webinar details and all that. Plus you can subscribe to our monthly newsletter. But there is also a link for you to order the book. You can order through that link and you will get the hard copy delivered to you within short time.
Super. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
With Vivek Sanil and Muriel Desar. Talk 100.3.